Listen, if you've ever been misunderstood, this podcast is for you. So today we're going to talk about how to handle being misunderstood. So Cece and I, we're going to go over some of the things that we've done in our own lives to make sure we can handle each other. So stay tuned.
Hey, Blissful friends, welcome back to the podcast. I cannot believe it is August already. Today is August 3rd. What's up?
Yes.
What's going on?
It's the peak of a hurricane
I'm
season.
excited.
So
it's a new month.
Yeah, it's a new month.
It's a new month. New ideas.
There's a tropical storm going by.
Still, but you know what? We're gonna be just fine. Again, we're gonna be just fine.
This one's a no biggie. It's we're gonna get some rain. Actually, we started getting some rain already, but it's nothing to worry about.
Anyways, regardless, I'm your girl CC, your host, the one and only. Pew 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 pew. Okay, y'all can feel my energy. I'm super excited. I don't know what it is, but you know what? The Lord is in my heart. I'm happy. All is good. God is good, and I'm joined by the one and only, my handsome husband, the one and only, the other co-host, the other host, I should say, the other host of the podcast. Babe, what's going on?
I'm good. Probably not as excited as you are. See, August is here. I'm thinking, man, anytime we could be dealing with a storm. But I don't wish for it. I'm not expecting it. I'm hoping we don't get any. But anyway, guys, this is Will, and thank you for joining us today. If this is your first time tuning into our podcast, it is a weekly podcast where we bring you inspiring and relatable and relevant content every Saturday.
Every Saturday.
And in this podcast, we talk about
love, life, family, relationship. You guys know what we do here. So we're glad to have you here with us today. And again, happy August, happy August, happy August.
Happy August. So as always, before we get into today's topic, we want to share something blissful with you. Now, that's either something that happened to us or something that we did.
That's right.
So what is your blissful moment?
Well, blissful moment. I'm happy it's in my month. That's blissful. I've been working out faithfully every day except for the weekends. And I am counting my blessings. That's blissful. And I feel like this month there's a lot of birthdays going on. There's my brother, my nephew, your mom, right?
A lot of birthdays.
A lot of birthdays. And my sister-in-law's mom, the birthday is going on. A lot of birthday going on this month. So
happy premature birthday to everybody.
Yes.
I shouldn't be forgetting anyone's birthday. But anyway, I'm going to wish you a happy birthday, right?
Yes. And there's a lot going on this month. Kids go back to school. You know, for our girls, they go back to homeschool. So
to be honest with you, this is a very completely different process.
Yes.
A lot less stressful, I tell you that.
A lot less stressful. And I promise I will make a video explaining to you guys how we got to be homeschooling our daughters from last year. So this is actually, I feel like this needs to be a separate
podcast or something.
Yeah, or video or some kind of something explaining to you guys. But yeah, I'm blissful, I'm grateful, and I'm blessed and beyond. And I'm grateful that I finished my books, and I think this is all the excitement from the book too. How you feeling?
Me, I'm like, listen, it's August already. December is like right around the corner, so I need to really light up the fire and get with my plans. So yes, I'm excited for the sole reason that I got to get the stuff that I've had on my list done.
Well, listen. Take it one day at a time.
Let me tell you this.
Okay, one day at a time.
I don't recall earlier in the week, I want to say Eric Thomas.
Okay.
He was saying that if we go to the restaurant, our food don't come on time, we find some place to complain to, right? If someone owes us money and they don't pay us on time, we don't like it. We find a place to complain to. And if someone gives us a guarantee and they don't deliver, we hold them accountable. And it's like, what are you doing to hold yourself accountable? So I'm like, what am I doing to hold myself accountable? There's a number of things I said I want to do, and I started, and then I found myself doing, but I never go back and says, Will, what the hey? You said you were going to do this. You haven't done it yet. Here's your punishment. So I'm gonna stop punishing myself. But
Well,
for real,
I could punish you though.
yes. But you know what? It's the days are moving, and the fact that it's August already, September's right around the corner.
That means you have 4 months left.
And then we in the last quarter of the year, and come October, things move a lot faster.
Yes.
So, but yes, I'm excited. I have 2 months.
You're not excited. You don't sound excited at all.
Well,
you sound like whatever that I didn't get to do for the last 8 months. I need to like crumble everything in one pile and start doing
sometimes I do better under pressure.
Yes,
maybe that's where we are right now.
You do better
pressure's
under pressure.
And I gotta get it together.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's a good thing, right?
I don't like last minute things, but yeah, it's a good thing.
She doesn't like last minute things.
I don't like last minute things.
But anyway, let's get into the topic of the day. So much for our blissful moment. Anyway, so the topic of the day is, how do you handle misunderstanding? Mm-hmm. Now, let's face it. This is something that everyone faces at one point. Whether it's with family, whether it's with friends, whether it's with coworkers, even in a romantic relationship.
What?
Listen, being misunderstood can really be tough, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, people gets upset. People gets in their feelings. People have ended up hating each other sometime. Mm-hmm. It creates frustration.
Yes.
Some of us gets lonely because it brings up bad stuff.
It does. Like you and I, we communicate pretty well, but I think when it comes to sometimes things that I'll tell you, you kind of like, or vice versa. See how he's looking at me? Do you see how he's looking at me? Like, I'm already feeling like, okay, where you going with this?
So what is a misunderstanding? Mm-hmm. It's when one person, say CC, say something and I get that something, but I get something completely different than what she said.
Right.
And obviously bound to happen in communication. And this is where it's important to make sure that we get it right. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it, I know there's been cases where Cece said something and I'm thinking that she's upset, and then that gets in me and that changed my mood and makes me do things differently. Yeah. And it's not until later I realized that that's not what she meant. She wasn't upset about this. It was just, she was just expressing her concern or opinion.
Yeah. Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
Or sometimes she calls me out on something and I take the tone that she used as if she's like attacking me and I put up my defense.
Attack you.
And that's what I'm saying. It's, you say one thing.
Yeah.
And I understood it to be something completely different.
Right.
And that caused me to react.
Yeah.
Now, I'm better now.
You better.
I've grown.
And I think we got to do better. And I think it's over time, you will get better at it. And I feel like sometimes misunderstanding can cause, you can hurt my feelings, which happens a lot of time. Well,
when it's you misunderstanding, it's not me hurting your feeling.
Okay.
It's your understanding of what I said caused your feeling to have gotten hurt.
I disagree.
But I never said what I said intentionally to hurt your feeling. But anyway, see how this could happen. She understood something to be different than what I said, and there goes her feeling.
I disagree, but okay.
but it can get in the way of relationships. So today we're going to share some tips on how to deal with misunderstanding, and a lot of it will come from our own experience.
Yes.
And you'll find when you can get through these things, it'll help your relationship get stronger.
So let's talk about why misunderstandings happen.
Well, I think sometimes some of us, we assume stuff.
Just like you were earlier.
No, I wasn't assuming anything earlier.
You assumed the guy. I was watching a video, quick story. I was watching a video of, a very interesting video. And there was 3 guys on the screen. He's like, well, one of them is weird. And I don't know why he assumed that the guy, because he had long black hair, that there was something else going on with that guy. And I was like, babe, stop assuming things. Like, literally it happened a couple hours ago.
Well, I may have assumed that he was someone that he wasn't. But, listen, we live in a world where if you portray yourself a certain way, people may think that you are a certain way. But assumption,
I agree.
Assumption causes issues,
Correct.
Assuming that we know, especially when you assume that we know what the other person is feeling, I can't read no one's feeling.
Or you.
So don't assume that I know how you're feeling, right? That can cause big misunderstanding. If you feel in a certain way, it's best to just come up and say it. Don't expect that I would know, but at the same time, I shouldn't assume that you're feeling a certain way. And when we assume, it causes us to react. Well, it causes us to respond, but many times we rather react differently to the, than the way that we would have normally reacted.
Right.
It causes us to do things that we shouldn't have done. So especially when we think someone's upset for one thing, and when they're actually, in fact, upset about something completely different.
Right.
So we find ourselves trying to fix the wrong thing. That has happened to me. But that's because someone before they learned, they would not come out and say what they're upset about.
Well, that was prior in our relationship.
They would expect me to read their mind.
Prior.
No, but sometimes I read the mind and I read it the wrong way.
Yes, you have been. But here's the deal. Over time, you get better, right? And when we had first got married, in our, of course, first year, well, I would say the first 5 years in our marriage.
You sure it's not the first 7 years or
okay. First 5, I would say 5 years. Anyway, regardless.
I was still getting things wrong. But, going back, when we assume something is without asking clarifying questions or without asking what's going on, as long as the other person understands the importance of communication and really open up and share with you, you're bound to run into trying to fix the wrong thing if it's in the case someone's upset, or if in the case, you know what, maybe this person wants me to do this, but without clearly communicating what it is, I assume that's what you want me to do, and I find myself doing the wrong thing.
I agree.
So when we assume, yes, that's one of the major causes of misunderstanding.
And I truly feel like because we're human, our number one thought that pops in our head is assumption. And I feel like sometimes it's just natural for us to, assuming that this is why this person is upset versus like, let me ask the question. And this is why I would say sometimes is you need to communicate better, right? Yes. Not communicating enough. Sometimes we expect our partners, of course, like you said earlier, to read our minds. But but at the same time, it's just not, let's just think about it, ladies, right? A lot of time for us women, we want our partners to read our minds. We want them to like go in our mind and see what we're thinking and go in our mind and make us feel like, okay, well, why are you looking at me like that though? Listen,
it's not easy for Sissy to admit stuff, but I'm glad that she's admitting it. It's a fact. You know how many times we're doing something and she's like, I thought you were going to do this.
I have.
How was I supposed to know?
Because I want you to read my mind.
That's what you were thinking.
Because I want you to read my mind.
Well, they didn't teach me that when I was growing up. And right now I'm too old to learn how to read minds. But yeah, this still happens from time to time.
You're not too old, baby.
My response is, I didn't know what you were thinking. If you wanted it, you should have told me. Now, we're at the point where that response will not cause us to argue.
And I've learned my lessons. I don't do it where you read my mind. I just come up front and tell you what I'm thinking. Yes.
If you wanted me to grab something, don't just have a general conversation about something you expect that I'm going to go and grab it. Now that I know, if you like, I'm like, hey, you want me to get this? Okay, then we're like, but and this is where understanding your partner is important. Because if she's talking about something general, I know there's probably there's something in there, something she wants. I'll just come out and say, you want me to do this, this, and this? And then it becomes a yes, this, no, that. Mm-hmm. It helps. But if you didn't say anything and I'm just doing my thing, and at the end you're like, I thought you were going to do this. How am I supposed to know?
Like my mom does to my dad sometimes. When my dad is eating something.
I know.
Okay.
I've heard it. But
I've done it to you too.
This is where communicating enough and communicating clearly is important.
Right.
If you want something, say it. If something hurts you, say it.
Yeah.
If you don't like something, say it. If you're expecting something, say it.
And I think the reason why we don't say it because we don't want to hurt your feelings or your partner's
Why do you think it's better? Later when it's not done, you get upset? Or
but we
come out
don't
and
think of it that far ahead, though. We don't see it that way. We don't.
But when it doesn't happen, we get really pissed and upset about it.
Of course.
Hey, listen, another cause of misunderstanding is we're different. We're different people. We're from different background. We have different experiences. Like if you take me, for instance, I don't get all emotionally about things.
Yeah.
Something happens. I'm like, yeah, it happens. Okay. I can't fix what happened, but I can make sure it doesn't happen again. Or if it's something that's self-fixable, I just fix it and I move on. I don't get all emotional about it. Why did it happen and how it makes me feel? No, I don't get all that way. On the other hand, she has to go and investigate why it happens, why she's feeling this way, and have a 2-hour conversation about it.
Okay.
And make her points.
Again, we are different breed, okay? Your emotions and my emotion is different. The way that you men take this is different than the way us women take it.
Like, for instance, the thing that may happen, she thinks that I'm upset just because I'm like, hey, just carry on. I'm not upset.
Sometimes you be carrying on too quick. I'm like, you need to be upset about it, and then we move on afterwards.
I don't need to be.
See, I'm one of those people where in the past, maybe not now, maybe just a little bit. I used to dwell on things. I would dwell and
certain things you still do,
but I've changed though, because you gotta you can't be the same every year. I've changed, and I know that there's certain. I've seen my growth, is what I'm trying to say. My growth in my emotions, where I would get upset and I'm like, you know what? It is what it is, and I move on. And there's other things that just depend on what it is. If it's something that really hurt my feelings, then we're gonna be moping and sad and dragging the week, making it like for real. I'm that type. We're gonna be moping and we're gonna be dragging, and he's gonna feel it.
Now I have to make sure that I let her know that I feel it, or at least show that I feel it. But deep inside of me, I'm ready to just go to the next
So that's what happened last week, huh?
Well, yes, I felt it.
So last week you were like, you're ready to move on.
Well, yes.
See,
I don't have, but again, that just highlight how we are different.
Right.
When we're different, we think things differently. What may seem normal to me may be very abnormal to her.
Well, yeah.
Like in minutes, I can be over things and move on. Her, it takes her days.
It sure does. It does. It takes me days. And again, it just depends on what it is. If it's something minor, then I could be like, you know what? It's fine. I just move on. I'm done. I'm good. We're Gucci. Let's just keep going.
Yeah.
But if it's something that's, like I said earlier, that's really hurtful, then we're gonna be moping and sad about it for a couple days or a week.
Yeah. And where this can cause a misunderstanding, just because I move on, that doesn't mean I don't care. It's just
this is why sometimes I feel like you don't care because you move on too quick.
But it doesn't mean that I don't care.
Yeah, that's the part that gets me.
The fact that it takes you days to get over it and it doesn't, we just have different level or different ways we deal with things.
See, that's
me showing caring is not me being moody for a week. No. So, and this is where us being different, she could be interpreting this that, he just doesn't care. But that's not the case. I'm just not the type who sits around and mope around for days because something happened. That's just not me.
I hear you.
Because I need to be able to get up and move on. Because there are things that needs to get done, and I can't do them if I'm moping around. Because listen, you guys never seen me mope, but if I were to be in a state of moping around, I don't think people would be okay being around me. So now that we know how misunderstanding can happen and how our background can play a role in it, no, how do we deal with it?
I know one thing for sure you have been doing is by staying calm.
Yeah,
that's one thing that you do. I'm not the calm person. I'm very much different. When I get like this, I'm very much like moody. I'm very like talking. I'm talking in the background,
She talks to herself and make herself more upset.
I do. But I do learn that it's not good for me to make myself more upset because it can cause damages in the inside and outside. And I know one thing for you is that you're very calm.
Yeah.
And you very much about, all right, let's just keep it moving.
Listen, in my family, when we get upset, we get upset. So I don't waste my upsetness on everything. Yes, if I get upset, listen, I have a temper and people may think that I never get upset, but I have my bar set very, very, very high for you to be able to get me to that point. But once I do, I may do things that I would regret. So I try not to get to that level.
And I try not to get to that
right?
level.
So, hey, it's been years since I've gotten to a point where I getting upset and
where you get to that level. More like
yes, and then there's that one time I did way back. Sissy got scared. So,
I don't ever want to see that side of him being upset ever again.
I know me, and I know if I can move on and clear things,
right,
it makes it better for all of us.
Yes.
So knowing that, this happens. I'm good. I don't like it. Just don't do it to me again. I'll put you back in your place.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna sit around and let my mood, because if I'm not in the best mood, as I mentioned earlier, it's not gonna be easy being around me.
Yeah.
Because yes, at that point it really becomes he just doesn't care.
Correct. And you're very easily at cutting people off.
Well, yes.
You're very easy. Like, you got me upset. Not me though. Like, you got me upset. I'm your wife, so you can't cut me off. You cut me off, I'm out. I'm just saying. I went back to my parents and got my kids.
Yeah.
But you're very easy at it. Somebody, you really get you upset. You're like, man, this is really like, you touched that part, so I'm cutting you off.
Why?
Yeah.
Why do if someone can get me to that level, you don't need to be around.
Yeah. And
if someone knows me,
and I don't want to see it again,
and you know that I'm an easygoing person, and you manage to get to the point where you get me to that level, you don't need to be around me.
Yeah.
Come on,
Yeah.
I don't want to waste my time being around you, and you probably don't want to waste your time being around me. So, and I know it's easier said than done to be calm and to be able to move on, and that's something I've been practicing. I thank God for giving me the ability to be able to manage how I handle things. But it's really important. It's really because when we're upset, it's easy to say things we don't mean. It's easy to do things that we will regret. It's good to take a deep breath. That's why I practice responding as opposed to reacting.
I'm the other way.
Because the 2 seconds it takes to rationalize my thoughts and said, okay, I'm going to do this because it makes sense. It helps. Because there are times, man, the normal reaction would be to just go at it.
Snap it. Yeah.
Take a moment.
Yeah.
And then I do something. Sometimes I would pretend as if nothing happens. And in my mind, just run different scenarios. Okay, this is how I'm going to handle this.
I saw that with our daughter.
I have to. Because, one thing that I realize, especially when you have kids around, and I know this is on a completely different topic. If your kid sees you go nuts over every little thing, that tells them that this is how they should handle things themselves. And I don't want my kids just acting like some kids that I've seen out there that something happens and they're throwing a fit and they go nuts. No, I want them to see, okay, this thing happens. We don't like it. I'm going to take a moment. Especially my oldest daughter likes to cry. I like when I'm like, okay, fix your face, relax, take a deep breath. Just tell me what you want to tell me. She'll start telling me, and then she said the first 2 words, and then she loses her voice. I'm like, okay, let's rewind. Take a moment. Let's say 1 word at a time.
He's that.
I'm working on it with her, but and this is what I do. I take a deep breath, I relax, and I take a moment. And so a thing may happen. I may not respond to it right away.
Right.
I just let myself cool off, because reactions don't always lead to the best situation. No.
In my mind is reaction, I'm just saying, I'm very much different, but I've actually, over time, there's books that I've listened to or that I've actually take personal development where I'm like, okay. And of course, with my husband's help, it's not always about reaction, because I'm one of those people, you react, I'm going to react too, we not going to fight, but I'm going to react. But at the same time, with you, on the other hand, you're different, because we both very different when it comes to how we talk to the girls and how we, react or respond. Like, my husband will respond, I'll react. That's how we do it here. Like, he's the respond person. Like, he's going to be calm and collective and respond. I'm not going to be calm and collective and react. I'm going to be like my mother. And this is what I'm just saying. That's just how I was raised. And sometimes I'm like, okay, this is not right. Let's stay calm. What happened?
You know, we talk a lot about responding instead of reacting. And where this help with miscommunication is that the first thought that jumps into your mind and cause you to want to react is usually not the best thing, because that may not be what this person intended for you to get. But if you take a sec to think, maybe you can ask the question to help clarify what it is that's being said to you.
Right.
As opposed to just jump in and attack it. So, and this is where when you approach things or any situations with a clear mind, it helps you get to a better resolution at the end of it.
I agree.
And another thing that's important, and that goes right back to reacting. Sometimes someone may be telling you something. By the time they get through the first sentence, you already have an answer for them, which is bad. And this is where it's important to listen to understand, not so much to listen to respond. When it comes to listening, you gotta listen attentively, and don't start formulating your answers from the beginning of the conversation. Wait to hear all of it. Once you've heard all of it, by that point, you would have understood all that's happening, and then you can respond if a response is needed. Sometimes your spouse or your partner just may need you to listen.
Yep.
Right? Listen, understand, and then if a response is needed, give one.
Yeah.
That's something I had to learn, because I typically will have answers for
I was just about to say that. I was just about to say you preaching to the choir, but you're not doing what you're preaching to the choir.
I typically would have answers for most things.
Yes.
But I do my best to not. Now, however, this is one thing that gets me, and Cece's been forcing me to say, if you're telling me something and I get it, say if you tell me don't do this, I get, okay, don't do this. The lengthy explanation why I shouldn't do it, sometimes I don't need it.
Okay.
Sometimes I don't need it. And Cece would like, you gotta let me finish.
Listen, men have this thing where when you're trying to say what's on your mind, they'll just cut you off. And I'm like, hold on, I'm not done.
But if I get it.
But I'm not done telling you what's on my mind. I don't want you to cut me off. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that does that. Like a lot of time when you're trying to explain the whole story, they don't want to listen to the whole story. They think they got it, right? And I'm like, hold on, I'm not done. And I want to be able to say what's on my mind and how I feel about how I'm feeling. And I want you to listen to me. But most of the time, he doesn't want to hear it. He does not want to hear it because he thinks it's going to be too long. And
it's been long. It has been long. And
but
obviously,
it's important to me, though, for you to listen.
And this is where I think when it comes to avoiding misunderstanding, I have to force myself to, and I have been forcing myself to just listen, you know, and those things don't usually require me to respond or do anything. It's just, I'm telling you, this is how this is. And
sometimes I'm wondering what's going on in his mind because he's probably not really listening. He's probably have all these birds going in his head, like get to the point. Because my husband is he's like very much like one of those type where get to the point in the beginning of our relationship. He's very much get to the point. But recently, maybe like, 5 years, 10 years into our marriage, he would listen. Although we're married for 14 years, he would listen now. He would just hear me out. Then again, sometimes I'll be like, okay, is he really listening? And then I'll ask him questions just to see if he's really, really get what I'm telling him.
And all the time she's tested me, I've passed the test. So I have been listening. But when you go back to avoiding misunderstanding, it's important to listen. It's important to listen. I know for me, that's something I'm working on is if I feel that I get, especially if it's not something that I have to give a response. Maybe if you're telling me that this thing is this long, it's a fact that it's that long, I'm good to go. Mm-hmm. I don't need to know where it was used, who last used it, who measured it. No.
Yeah.
If it measures this long, I'm good with it.
Right.
But I've learned to listen because when she has to speak, I have to listen.
Yeah. Just like when you ask to speak, I listen.
Yes.
It should be both ways.
Yes.
It shouldn't be where one person talks and the other one listens. And now when it comes to the other person, you don't want to listen.
Yeah. And one thing when it comes to misunderstanding, just because my responses are short, that doesn't mean I disagree. It's just that you've said so much, I don't need to add more to it.
Okay.
And so, because sometimes she will tell me something, I'm like,
that is
yes,
so wrong.
Yes, I understand. It's not that I don't, it's just, you've clarified it enough. I don't need to add more to what you've just said.
But I want to hear your feedback. And I think it's important. And it's important for you to, respond in a manner of, okay, but if we do it this way, or if we talk about it, then it makes me feel like we are both on the same page.
Yes, but if I said, I understand, I got it, that should be sufficient. I don't have to go and paraphrase what you told me, because all that does is make the conversation even lengthier.
Look who's talking. Someone who talks a whole lot and doesn't want to hear me.
I'm trying to get to the point a lot quicker these days. Anyway, now let's keep carrying on. Very important that if you're wrong, apologize. If you realize you made a mistake, maybe you said something you shouldn't have said, or maybe you understood something the wrong way and that caused you to have done. Apologize.
Yeah.
And a sincere apology, not just I'm sorry, and then you just can. No, I'm talking about a sincere apology that can go a long way.
Yeah.
Although some people think that when I apologize, sometimes it's not sincere. It always comes from the heart when I said I'm sorry.
My heart don't feel it sometimes.
But, apologize sincerely. If you did something, acknowledge you did something. If you're wrong, you're wrong. There's no way around it. You're wrong, you're wrong.
Yeah.
And one thing I'd say to any couples, I don't expect everyone to forget everything that happens. If something happens, listen, I don't expect you to forget it, but learn to forgive. Learn to forgive. And if you forgive enough, you got to remember that you don't have to keep bringing this thing up. Just because you don't forget it, it doesn't have to be a topic of every conversation. So learn to forgive, because when you hold on grudges, it does a few things. It creates that perception of your head that this person is doing the same thing that they did to you, which caused you to react differently to them. It makes it difficult for you to trust them. So learn to forgive. Cece's learned that, I think. She's been forgiving me.
I have
At least she makes me believe she has.
I have been.
Yeah, so.
But I didn't forget. The Bible says, you gotta forgive and let go.
Yes, you should.
But it's not easy to let go.
Hey, you've been reading the Bible, so you should do what the Bible says.
We human. It's not easy to forget things.
That's why God gives you the Bible, so you can get His word and remember what He says.
I forgive you. But doesn't mean that it's not there anymore. I'm still gonna remember. It's just human nature.
Yeah, but very important. Apologize.
Yes. Apologize
if it's
is so
necessary.
important. So, babe, do you have a story about a time you were misunderstood and how you handle it?
Anyway, but yeah, there's been cases where I've been misunderstood. If I can dig deep in my memory, actually, I don't have to go too far back. I think I did something the other day, which I'm not going to go into the details. What Cece thought I meant, or the reason why I said what I said, was completely different than what in reality I was thinking. And that created some emotions on her. And I understood what I did or what I said had nothing to do with what she thought I meant by it. And that caused her to have felt I felt bad afterwards, because sometimes there are things that I may say or do.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, if it's me, it's no big deal. And I'm doing it based on how I feel and how I see myself. Not thinking that if I say this to her, that it could invoke some additional feelings.
Yeah.
And this is where our own personal experience, we have to watch that sometimes in terms of what we do. I didn't meant for it to be taken that way, but unfortunately it was. But when I look back, I could have done something different to avoid it from happening. So I like taking responsibility for things, and everything that happened, I've always looked back to see what could I have done differently. Because we always have a responsibility.
Right.
And yes, it took like 2 or 3 days for Cece to recover, and I apologize. I bought flowers. I got apology cards. Listen, when you know something's off, you got to do what you can to bring it back. So I did what I needed to do. But you know, the lesson for me is, although I'm very cautious when I say and do things, because I'm weird, nothing really weighs me down. And if I think what I say would not weigh anyone else down, I say anything to anyone and expect that you wouldn't take it. You would take it the way I do. In any conversation, there's always have to be someone who's willing to take responsibility for what happened.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't mind being that, because I'm confident in myself. And just because I take responsibility for something, that's not me saying that, hey, I'm bad, I'm not worthy. That's me saying that I could always do something different. And that's a fact. I can always do something different.
Right.
So, but yes, it happened recently, but now we're good. We're good. She understood me, and I know, okay, there's some things that should be off limit for me to say or do. And now I learn and we carry on.
That's right.
I moved on from the first day, but I had to help her move on.
Okay.
So any feelings, any experience on your end about where you were misunderstood?
By you?
Yeah. Well, you did something and I took it like completely the wrong way. Well, I don't do things to make her feel like something's wrong. It just happened and I move on. Maybe it'd be difficult for you to get
Yeah,
something.
I think so. I think you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, something happened and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, it happens. Let's not do it that way again. And then we just carry on.
Yeah, you're right. No, you're absolutely right. I agree.
So she needs to be like me.
I need to be like you. I don't know about that, but there's nothing wrong with being you, because you very much you, and I don't think I want to be you.
So has there been anyone, and not me, obviously, who misunderstood you?
For me, a friend, of course, misunderstood something I said about their relationship.
Okay.
They thought I was being judgmental. But I was just worried about them. I was just worried about the situation that they were in. And of course, I had to explain myself and explain to them my intentions and, and listen to their feelings. And I think sometimes for us as friends, when you have friends, we tend to not to listen to their feelings. We feel like, oh my God, you were just being too judgmental. You kind of like hurt my feelings and stuff. It was more so that, we talk. I explained to them. This is something that happened way, way in the past, though.
Okay.
I think even before you and I got together. And I had to explain, this was not my intentions. And of course, we still friends. And of course, she understood. And then we move on. And a lot of time, we don't look at the other person's feeling. We tend to look at what we see from the outside.
Yeah.
But I think as a friend, we should be honest, but not being in the judgmental way. Honesty goes far, especially if it's talking about their relationship. They don't want anybody to be in their business. But if you have a best friend or if you have a friend that you're really close to, it's important for you to like, hey, acknowledge their feelings. So yeah.
Yeah. That bound to happens. And let me tell you this.
And I have so many with my mom that I don't want to bring up here.
Oh yeah, your people's got issues.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
But when you look at the world that we're living in right now, people are so sensitive that you have to be very cautious as to what you say.
Yes.
Especially about their children.
Oh my God.
Their relationship.
Yes.
And so forth. Now, one thing that I think if all of us tried will help us maybe. If we have to comment or if we have to say something, is try to practice empathy. Try to understand what stage that person is in. And if you can ask questions as opposed to make remarks, but maybe ask questions to really understand where they are. Yes. Maybe you can relate to them to some level. That will help. Because people are there's a lot going on in people's life these days. And because of that, a lot of us are very fragile.
Yeah.
Our emotions are very thin. Any little things will get through it. So we have to be extra cautious.
You have to.
You have to be extra cautious when it comes to this. So I'd say as we interact with people, and then even within a household, we have to. Because like if you take someone like myself who's got well, I'm emotional just like anyone else, but very little thing gets to my emotions. And you take Cece, who's very emotional, where almost every little thing gets to her emotions. I have to do my best to practice empathy when it comes to what she's dealing with.
Yeah.
Before I say something. And I have to do the same thing for everyone that I'm around. And if they come and say something to me that's off, my way of getting to this is they didn't know what's going on with me, so I'm not gonna hold it up. So that helps me get past things people say.
Yeah.
They didn't know what's happening, but I'm at the stage where I'm matured enough that I can use that excuse. Like someone cut me off on the road. You know what? They're probably trying to get to the bathroom and they try to make it home. So it's okay. They cut me off, right? I use like silly excuses sometimes to not let me get upset based on what people do, what people say. But we have to practice empathy. But another thing that's important, we have to have a good support system.
Yes, that's actually something that is so important. And I think it's so important for you to surround yourself with people who understand you and support you. Because you don't want to be surrounding yourself with a bunch of people where you feel like you're trying to support them, but they don't see it and they don't understand. Because at the same time, I like what you said, you're at a level now where you feel like certain things don't really bother you as much anymore. But if you are around people where any little thing bothers them, they're not mature yet. And they act like,
people like this, I don't need to be
like
around
a baby.
Because they're going to drain me.
Because they're going to drain you. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's so important for you to surround yourself with people who understand and support you, which is something that we don't really have that in our circle because we kind of like surround ourselves with just...
We keep very few people around, and it's primarily family.
Yeah.
Yes, and obviously we have a few people that we not hang out with, but if we had an event with together, we'll probably sit at the same place and we'll chat.
Right.
But it's all people that kind of think the same way, very uplifting attitude. They're not the type that the moment that you just start complaining about all the things that are happening, it's more like, what are you doing to deal with this? How do we get to that and
the next level? Yes. And I think, I'm at the point of my life where drama for me, it's out the door. If you're one of those people that likes to drama, that likes to talk about other people, I'm out. I won't say much.
She learned that from me.
Not really, because
I don't talk about people.
You're very much dramatic when you're not around certain people. When you're not around people, you're dramatic.
How?
You like talking about people.
No. See, I
you
joke.
Like making fun of people, baby.
We joke in the house.
Yes.
But I don't sit and talk about people. I may make a joke, like it's a 2-word joke. And she cracks at it. And that's probably why I keep making them, because she reacts to them.
You do. My point I was making is that, I truly feel like, we are at an age, and especially when you are at a certain age in your life and you don't want to be surrounded with drama people, like, because people who are all about drama is going to take so much out of you.
Yeah.
You're going to feel so tired to be around them. And I think it's important for you to take care of yourself. And if you have to move away, just move away. And if you have to stay away from them, do what you have to do for you to stay away from them.
Yeah, and where that really make a big difference in avoiding misunderstanding. If something happens and you reach out to this person for some advice, they're not the one that's just gonna jump right on and start making the situation worse. You need people that can sit with you and tell me what happened.
Yeah.
How did you come to this?
Right.
You know what? There could be a reason why this happened. It's to help you see, okay, balance things out in your mind.
Yeah.
Not one that's just gonna say, man, this bastard. I had a feeling he was gonna do this. Without even knowing anything. They just jump right in you just add on to what's already
right.
going. You need people that can pull you back and help you reason a bit.
Yes.
And maybe what you're feeling is true, but people that can really talk you through it.
Right.
To see if there's any logic behind how you feel.
Because one thing I'm not about to do is if I'm calling you or talking to you about something and you're going to add more to what I'm telling you, so you're literally adding more fire. So therefore, I'm like, you know what? You and I need to text instead of be on the phone talking. Because sometimes you could be on the phone with a friend or a family member, whoever. You just want to talk about something just to see just to hear their feedback
validate,
or validate.
to see, am I on the right path?
But instead, if they're pouring more, if they're adding more fuel to the fire, then you already know that this is not
the right
someone
people
you need to be on the phone with. As I mentioned earlier, being misunderstood can be draining. So you got to find ways to recharge, right? We talk about praying a lot. We talk about like prayer. One thing I've been doing a lot is of course for me to get closer to God, meditating, exercising, and spending time with my family, people who don't do drama and people who not all about, oh my God, I got to tell you about so-and-so. I'm not in that space.
Did you hear so-and-so?
Because my mother and I, we have our own little thing going on. That's my mom. That's my best friend. That's my, we have our tea talk going on. That's just her and I. And it stays between her and I. We have our tea talk going on. The kids, when they get older, of course, we will have that. But my mom and I, that's my mother. Mm-hmm. My brother, we have a gossip. Talk, but it's not about gossiping. Again, when you are in a different space, different environment, you're all about, prayer. You're all about praying, meditating, and exercising. Yeah. That's how it's been for me lately. And I don't have time. I don't have room for gossiping and drama.
And you gotta have these things that helps you ground yourself. Yes. And this is where meditation. Say, for instance, if something happened and maybe I said something and it throws you off, maybe take a moment, open the Bible and read a few verses and go sad and pray, and that may help you figure out what I said was not what you thought I said.
Listen.
Well, who knows? That may help, but you got to have a way to help calm you down.
Yes.
Because in the moment, if you let yourself get heated and you keep getting more heated, who knows where you may find yourself.
Yes.
And it's okay to take care of yourself. And part of meditating is taking care of yourself, really taking care of your mind and ease things on you.
Yes.
Because when you're happy and you're healthy, you can be a better partner.
Absolutely.
Believe me.
We say a whole lot today.
Yeah.
And I think this is something that we all need to hear. Being misunderstood is something we all go through. Listen, but it doesn't have to be a deal breaker. Right? It doesn't have to be a deal breaker.
No.
And I truly, like what my husband said earlier, with patience, empathy, staying calm, and of course, seeking to understand. Okay? Like, I need to work on that more. I was listening to him when he was talking, seeking to understand, and of course, building a better communication among us.
Yeah.
Right? And it's not something that happened overnight. It takes habits. It takes time and time and time for you to get there. Yeah. And eventually it can turn misunderstandings into opportunity for growth.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. When you go through these things that together you figured it out, together you make it work, you grow together.
Absolutely.
Listen, Sissy and I can sit here and we can laugh about these things, and we've had our moments.
Listen, this man had to get me a book.
But we continue to have our moments. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, we just had a moment last week, but you know what?
Yeah.
All this go into the book of experience that we're building.
That's right.
And now I know what I did last week. I shouldn't do it again.
Listen, right? We're learning and growing here.
And listen, today we talked about a whole lot, like Sissy mentioned earlier. But above all, I'm hoping that what we shared brings some value to you guys. Bring you maybe you're dealing with, maybe someone who's dealing with something that you can potentially share some of the things that we talked about, or if there's something you have done that helps you deal with cases of misunderstanding, by all means share it in the comments. We appreciate you. Yeah. So on that note, we want to thank all of you guys for tuning in today. And again, as I mentioned, I hope that you've gotten a lot from this episode.
Yes.
If you enjoyed, please remember to subscribe and leave us a review.
Yes.
And share it with your friends. We love hearing from you guys. So keep those questions and stories coming.
Yes. And please, we have more views than subscribers. If you have been watching and not subscribing, please subscribe to our channel, because we want to grow this platform and bring you more content, because creating content takes a lot of time. And I want you guys to please subscribe and grow this channel, because we want to grow, through love, relationship, of course, life together. and we want to bring more different content on this platform. So we want you to please subscribe and share with your friends. And we've been getting the likes, but not the subscribes. So we appreciate you still for watching though. So continue. So please continue watching.
Like Sissy said, remember to subscribe. So guys, until next time, keep finding ways to make sure that you avoid misunderstanding your partner. So we will see you next Saturday.